Will Mexico win the Gold Cup back-to-back? Can Mauricio Pochettino get his hands on a trophy with the U.S. men's national team? Is there going to be a random side that makes a deep run in this tournament? Why are Saudi Arabia there, and what are they going to do? In today's video, I have compiled some of the biggest storylines for the 2025 Gold Cup. I hope you guys enjoy this video as I go through these one by one. There's a lot of other things that I left out, so if you want to see a part 2, let me know down below in the comments, and I can promise one thing right now. This will not be the last Gold Cup video here on the channel, all right? I'm going to be doing a predictions video. I'm going to hopefully get a couple guests on from other nations to talk about their expectations for their national teams heading into this tournament. So if you don't want to miss that and all the other CONCACAF content here on Deadball TV, make sure and subscribe. So I'm going to start with the big one here. Who wins the Gold Cup? And depending on which team wins, what does that mean, right? And I'm going to focus on the big 4 teams for this, the teams that I consider the 4 best in CONCACAF and the 4 favorites to win: Panama, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And I'm going to start with Panama. What does it mean if Panama win? What are Panama chasing? Well, they are chasing history, guys. I don't know if everybody watching is a CONCACAF diehard, but the last time that a team not named Mexico or the United States won a trophy in this region was 2000 when Canada won the Gold Cup. So this federation is completely dominated by those two sides, and nobody else has really been able to get their hands on silverware, at least not consistently, since like the 70s, when I think Haiti got a couple in there and Costa Rica won a couple in the 80s, I want to say, as well. So it's been a while, and if Panama can make it to the final and win the Gold Cup, that's just incredible, and that means so many things. Number one, Thomas Christensen will have been to 3 finals in the last 2 years with Panama, which is absolutely insane. It means it's the greatest period in Panamanian football history, period, end of story. I don't want to hear about the 2018 World Cup team and how good they were. This period of time from 2022 to now, hands down the best period in Panama's history. And I think for the masses, right, not those with ball knowledge, because they have known for a while, and subscribers of Deadball TV have also known for a while, that Panama is the 4th best team in CONCACAF. And some people might think I'm being redundant in saying this as a talking point, but I truly believe a lot of people still think Jamaica are the 4th best team because of the names that they have on the team sheet, right? Of course not the football, because if you actually watch Jamaica play, you would never think that they're the 4th best team in CONCACAF, but just based on who the players are that they have available, people have them at 4. And some people even say Costa Rica is still the 4th best team at CONCACAF because of what happened in 2014, which, amazing achievement, but that was 11 years ago. I don't even know how many guys are still active. If Panama win a trophy, and by the way, a Central American team has not won a trophy in CONCACAF since Costa Rica in what I believe was 1989, but it might have been 1987, something like that. Point is, it's been a really, really long time. If you guys want another fun fact that proves even more how goated this period of time is for Panama, making 3 finals in 2 years. The last time that a Central American team made back-to-back finals of CONCACAF competitions was Honduras, when they made the final of the Gold Cup in 1981 and 1985. So it has been 40 years since a team has been able to do what Panama's already done, right? Because they already made the 2023 Gold Cup and the 2024 or 2025 Nations League final. And now if they make the 2025 Gold Cup final, I don't think a team has made 3 consecutive finals of a CONCACAF tournament since Haiti in the 70s, when they made the final of 3 consecutive Gold Cups, and that was like goated era Haiti. So it would just be another flower in the cap of Thomas Christensen's unbelievably successful tenure with Panama. Now, moving on to the United States, I think if the United States won the Gold Cup, the biggest winner is Mauricio Pochettino, hands down, because so far it's not looking so good for Pochettino. Now, I'm not one of those people that's saying fire him. I don't think that he's just been a complete failure, but most of the signs that we've seen outside of an away win, a rare away win against Jamaica in the Nations League quarterfinals, most of the indicators are negative, I would say. And when it comes to trophies, which is very important for the United States, who have gotten used to winning trophies recently and are about to host a freaking World Cup, when you have Mauricio Pochettino as your manager, who lost Ligue 1 to Lille as PSG manager, who lost the Premier League to Leicester as Spurs manager, and now has lost a Nations League to Mexico as the United States manager, this man needs a goddamn trophy. And I'm going to debate and fight any American watching, and I know there are those with this opinion, that Poch doesn't need a trophy going into the World Cup. He absolutely needs a trophy. How could you possibly think that? You cannot be the United States with the golden generation and the most talented team the United States has ever had, which I think that is objectively true, and have 0 trophies from 2 different tournaments, when really you just have to beat Canada, Mexico, and maybe Panama. But the likelihood of you going, having to go through all 3 of those teams en route to a trophy is, well, it's literally impossible, actually, in the case of the Nations League. At worst, the United States or Canada would have to play each other and then play Mexico or Panama in the final. So there's no situation in which Poch has this doomsday path to lifting the trophy. He's got to win 2 games against 2 good teams. That's it. And if he fails to do that again, with the United States being the perpetual hosts of everything CONCACAF, I mean, the faith has got to be so shaken at that point. And I think this would protect Pochettino from the 2026 World Cup, because I don't think the United States has any hope of making a semifinal. I just think that's a Disney Channel dream right there. It ain't happening. But if he can make a quarterfinals, right, which I think is the absolute ceiling for this U.S. squad, and he wins a Gold Cup in which it is taken seriously by all the participating nations, and I expect it to be, then I think it at least, I don't know, it would make his career be kind of like a wash, right? Nobody would look at Poch and be like, oh, build him a statue. And also at the same time, nobody would look at him and be like, that guy was an absolute fraud. If he gets 1 trophy in the quarterfinals, I think Pochettino's legacy with the United States, it's nothing to write home about, but it won't be a legacy of failure, which is something that has followed Pochettino his entire career. And I think that is important, especially for him, of course. Next up, if Mexico win, then I think the biggest thing that means is Javier Aguirre. He has the love of the pueblo, right? He's got the love of everybody and the support and the faith heading into the World Cup, because there are a lot of people that still doubt if this man is having a really significant impact on the national team. And I am one of those people. I really struggle to differentiate if this recent improvement in Mexico is Aguirre and his tactics, is it Rafa Marquez's aura on the bench, or is it just Raul Jimenez has become God level for the Mexican national team? I'm still not sure. The answer is probably both, right? But if Aguirre can win back-to-back tournaments with Mexico, and that means Mexico, we won 3 tournaments in a row inside CONCACAF, then I think even the biggest Aguirre hater, and I'm not an Aguirre hater, I'm just a bit of a doubter, I would say, you know what? We're going into the World Cup. I'm going to trust this man, right? If I say the final selections come out and there's a couple players in there I don't disagree with, if he has 2 trophies in the bank, I'm going to say, you know what? Let him cook. Let him cook. Maybe he's cooking a recipe for a dish that I've never heard of, right? Maybe there's a lot of Mexican dishes that I'm just not familiar with, right? I came up on Tex-Mex food, living in Houston. So I'm sure there's a lot of authentic dishes using nopal or whatever that I just don't know. So I'm going to let him cook if he wins this tournament. I would say, okay, I'm going to bite my tongue here, but he needs to win it. And I think the second thing, and this will be a separate video, if Mexico win the 2025 Gold Cup, there is a serious discussion where we all need to sit down and we need to get real comfortable for this talk about Raul Jimenez being the best striker in Mexican national team history. And I'm not going to go into this too much now. I want to make this a separate video. But if you look at who has performed the best for the Mexican national team, who has put the team on their back the most, and who has the trophy cabinet to back up their claim as the GOAT, it would be Raul Jimenez, in my opinion. And I don't think Hugo Sanchez, I don't think Chicharito, either of them could really stack up against Raul if he wins another Gold Cup. Now, if Mexico doesn't win, then I think it's a much more even debate, right? It's unfortunately, when you're talking GOAT status, you kind of have to count rings a little bit, like Tom Brady, Mahomes, right? Or LeBron James versus MJ. At some point, the trophies do matter a little bit. You got to at least be close. Right now, it is close, even though Raul Jimenez has 3 major honors with the Mexican national team. If he gets 4, including the first ever Nations League and a gold medal at the Olympics, I don't know. That's a conversation we got to be ready for. And lastly, Canada. If Canada win the Gold Cup, then that means Jesse Marsch has officially surpassed John Herdman. Now, some Canadians will say this has already happened, but me, I think that is 1 game too soon. Like literally, I think we're right there. And genuinely, if the Gold Cup plays out how many would predict, and we get a Canada-United States semifinal, which is looking like the most likely outcome, and Canada wins that game, at that point in time, I will say Jesse Marsch is better than John Herdman. And I don't think there's any doubt anymore. I still think over the long term, Jesse Marsch, no matter what happens to this Gold Cup, will go down as a better manager for Canada than John Herdman. But I still think sometimes we have recency bias. We forget about where John Herdman took Canada to where he left them, right? Like Canada was irrelevant before this man got there, spying or no spying, right? And if Jesse Marsch wins Canada a trophy for the first time in 25 years, how could you not be the GOAT at that point? You see what I'm getting at here, y'all? Like the managers have a lot on the line. They always take the heat when things go wrong. Well, I'm trying to talk about the other side. What would would happen if they succeed and how we need to, reward them. We can't just blame the coach when it goes south and praise the players when it goes north. You got to be 50-50. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And I think there's a lot on the line for different managers here. And lastly, I think Canada would have a very, very strong argument for the best team in CONCACAF. If I had to rank the best team in CONCACAF right now, it's kind of interesting because you could genuinely say it's a three-way tie between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. I talked about this in another video. I feel like the parity is actually better than what I had thought it was, right? Like, I think if you would have asked me a year and a half ago, I'd have been like, tin pot federation, U.S. is clear of everybody, and it's not even close. Well, now I'm like, not only is the U.S. not clear, but I'm not sure if Canada is clear of Mexico. I'm not sure if Mexico's clear of the United States. I'm not sure if the United States is clear of Canada. Where does Panama fit in this? Because they keep beating the United States, but then Mexico keeps beating Panama, but Mexico can't beat the U.S. It's just, I don't know what's going on here. And I think hopefully at the end of the 2025 Gold Cup, depending on who wins, we will have an answer, right? The only outcome that could leave me sitting here and saying, God damn it, I still have no clue, is if Panama wins. If Panama wins, then who's the best team in CONCACAF? I mean, you have to consider Panama at that point. Actually, despite, having one player that people recognize over in Europe and a guy at Pumas and Liga MX who just got knocked out by Vancouver in the CONCACAF Cup, you would have to say they might be the best team in CONCACAF, or we're just, instead of a three-way tie, like I think we have currently, maybe we just enter into a four-way tie. So yeah, I think there's so much on the line here, especially for Panama and Canada, because they're going to win this tournament as the away side, right? This is going to be a home game, every single fixture for the United States and for Mexico. For Canada and Panama, they're not selling out a single stadium. They're not being the majority anywhere except maybe Panamanians in Orlando, if there's even a game there. Outside of that, they're winning a trophy on hostile territory. And so I think you need to give them extra bonus points should that go down. Now, finally, I am a football hipster, so I will address this. What if somebody else wins the Nations League outside of the Big Four? Now, I really think it's more likely that Europeans stop telling Americans to stick to baseball whenever talking about football than it is for a non-Big Four team to win this tournament. But should it happen, then a lot of things will go down as a result. Firstly, I need to see an ESPN 30 for 30 doc about the entire tournament from this team's perspective, because I need to know what the coach was saying at halftime if, Trinidad and Tobago lift the trophy or something. I also need a public apology from everybody who made fun of Asia when Qatar won the last Asian Cup and said that, look how terrible Asia is. Like, Qatar's not even top 5 and they just won it. If Trinidad and Tobago or Haiti or Suriname or even Costa Rica win the freaking Gold Cup, I'm going to need to see apologies. And we're going to have a serious discussion about CONCACAF itself. Like, everything that I feel like we believe about this federation, how it's really two teams going at it for the trophies and everybody else is fighting for third place, that would kind of shatter that narrative a little bit. Not completely, because it could be chalked up as just a one-off, but I do think we would need to talk about that. And whichever manager is managing the team that wins, just give the man a lifetime contract, because this is, again, something we haven't seen in 25 years. We haven't seen a team not named Mexico or the United States win since 2000, y'all. That is insane. And we don't see anything like that in other federations. It just doesn't exist, this level of stranglehold that two teams have on a trophy. And lastly, honestly, whichever team wins, directly to the World Cup. Throw them straight into the round of 32 for all I care, because it would be a massive achievement. Moving on to storyline number 2, and I want to talk about this because y'all know, or maybe don't know, that I'm a massive Asian football fan. How does Saudi Arabia perform at the Gold Cup? For those who don't know, Saudi Arabia will be playing without all of their Al Hilal players. And if you don't know who that includes, it is Salem Al-Dosri, Nasser Al-Dosri, Hassan Al-Tambakti, Yasser Al-Sharani, Mohamed Kanu, and possibly even Musab Al-Jawer. I couldn't confirm that because he's on loan, but he might be returning to play for Al Hilal at the Club World Cup. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because Musab Al-Jawer is one of the better Saudi Arabian players right now. So I would think Al Hilal would want him back for the tournament, but maybe he doesn't break into the midfield there. I don't know. I don't watch Asian club football, only country. And honestly, if we're talking teams at the Gold Cup that are missing the most important players, it is Saudi Arabia number 1, and it's not even close. There still will be some big guns present for Saudi Arabia. Marwan Al-Sahafi, Saud Abdulhamid, the defender for Roma, Ali Lajami, Faraz Al-Burakan, Faisal Al-Ghamdi, but it's gonna be a Saudi team that's missing at least 6 starters. I also expect Hervé Renard to call up some of the Saudi young players who just finished second at the U20 Asian Cup when they lost to Saudi Arabia on penalties, and they had a couple couple ballers there. So it's going to be an experimental Saudi side, much like Qatar in 2023 was also a pretty experimental side. Which leads me into a mini topic here. Why the hell was Saudi Arabia chosen as the guest nation? Because when it was immediately announced that the Saudis were going to participate, me as an Asian fan, I was like, okay, really, that's not even a top 5 team in Asia right now. I'd probably have them as the 7th or 8th best team. But I was like, okay, I suppose they're better than Qatar, so sure, this is a bit more of a challenge. But then when I remember that Al Hilal are competing in the Club World Cup, this inclusion made no freaking sense at all. Like, we're inviting a guest nation that's going to be missing half of their starting 11. I just don't get what the point is. We might as well have just included one more CONCACAF team. And for me, this is just another example of CONCACAF incompetence. Here are some teams that I think would have made more sense and would have actually made the tournament not look Mickey Mouse. Number 1, Iran. I think Iran would have been a phenomenal guest nation, and they're already qualified to the World Cup. They'll have nothing to play for. They would have said yes. Another team, Japan, similarly, already qualified to the World Cup. They will have nothing to play for. They don't have anything to play for now until the next World Cup. This would have been a great opportunity. Here's another team that could have been invited to the Gold Cup. Anyone from Africa. How about that? Can we get Egypt in here? Can we get Cameroon? How about the African champions, Ivory Coast? No African team has any games this window as far as I can tell. That's because the AFCON was supposed to happen in the summer, but then it got pushed back because of the Club World Cup. So I don't believe a single African team has a fixture on the schedule right now. But instead we get a rotated Saudi side. Like, bro, we just fumbled this so hard. And I think there's 2 reasons for this. Number 1, I really don't think CONCACAF is confident that if they invited Japan or they invited Iran or Egypt, they could win, right? If you look at the history of invitees, the Gold Cup is one of the few competitions where the invitee actually does pretty well. I mean, they've made finals before. To my knowledge, no Asian team that's been invited to the Copa America has even made it to the semifinal. Usually they get grouped every single time. They might have been grouped every single time, but in CONCACAF, if Iran go, I mean, if you put Iran in the United States group in Group D, they're making it out 100%. They might win the group. If you put Japan in that group, USA, Mexico, Canada, they don't want the smoke from these elite teams. You don't want to send an Egypt or a Cameroon and get embarrassed when they lift the CONCACAF trophy. Now, reason number 2, and this is kind of a conspiracy theory that I actually support, is that word on the street is saying FIFA didn't want a really good national team to go to the CONCACAF Gold Cup because they don't want it to take center stage above their new, baby doll competition, the Club World Cup. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I would not be surprised if FIFA stepped in and said, hey, we see the news about you wanting a mini World Cup. We see that you guys are interested in inviting England, France, Morocco, Senegal, Japan, and South Korea. However, if you do that, more people will watch that than our Club World Cup. So we're going to kindly ask you to invite Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't be surprised if they had some influence in that because they're really, really trying to make the Club World Cup a thing. Now, I say all that to say Saudi Arabia should still be making the knockouts of this competition, and I'm still curious to see how far they go despite missing a lot of their better players. And I'm going to talk about the history of Asian invitees at the Gold Cup very briefly because I think it's interesting. Obviously, we had Qatar, who were in the 2021 and 2023 edition of the Gold Cup. In 2021, they actually made the semifinals. They lost against the United States 1-0 late in the match. In 2023, the last edition, they made the quarterfinals before getting walloped by Panama 4-0. But before that, South Korea has also participated at 2 different editions of the Gold Cup, 2000 and 2002. And in 2002, they finished 4th. Now, I don't know if they brought their A team to either of these tournaments. I don't know exactly who were the all-stars in the 2000 South Korea team before the World Cup, and I didn't really want to spend the time to figure it out, but any Koreans watching, I'd be curious if that was a full-strength squad or something experimental. But you want some even deeper lore here? I think this is hilarious. Mexico are the only CONCACAF giant that have lost to these Asian invitees at the Gold Cup, which is kind of funny because Mexico has a very good record against Asian teams at the World Cup, but at the Gold Cup, we got knocked out by South Korea in 2002 in the quarterfinals on penalties, and obviously at the last edition, 2023, Carlos Queiroz masterclass, Qatar beat us 1-0 in the group stage, and guess who Mexico is likely to play, should things shake out as predicted, in the quarterfinals of the 2025 Gold Cup? That's right, Saudi Arabia, a team that Mexico played and defeated at the 2000 2022 World Cup. So it's a bit of a revenge game for the Saudis. For whatever reason, Asian teams seem to get up for Mexico whenever they got to play us in the Gold Cup. Could we be seeing an upset in that round? I mean, Jesus, the reaction video I'm going to upload, if Saudi Arabia knocks us out, you're going to want to see that, so hit subscribe. Next storyline here, and there's many more of these kind of versus storylines that I could make in a future vid, so comment down below if you want to see my thoughts on one. But Piojo Herrera versus Mexico, that's got to be the biggest one here. Costa Rica already doesn't like Mexico, right? Costa Rica is one of these teams where historically are probably the fourth best team in CONCACAF, and they have a very good, strong record against Canada and the United States and other teams in CONCACAF, except for Mexico. Mexico, we have always been the exception to the Costa Rican rule. Well, I guess Panama also too, but let me not get started on that. Now, Piojo being appointed as manager was a huge statement, and it was a huge gamble. And as of time of recording, I don't really know how to assess Costa Rica under Piojo because he's played 3 games. One of those was a cupcake game against the United States, and the other 2 were against Belize. And Costa Rica won 13-1 on aggregate in those games. So I think it's fair to say we haven't seen anything yet. I genuinely don't know what I'm looking at. Now, Costa Rica do have matches against the Bahamas and Trinidad and Tobago before the Gold Cup. Those are going to be World Cup qualifiers. I think it's going to be the conclusion of the second round. So those will be a bit more interesting, especially that Trinidad and Tobago game. If I see a strong result, and I will try to watch it, but if I see a strong result from Costa Rica in that match, I'm going to have a bit more faith. And me personally, I think you look at this game in 2 ways. If you back Piojo at Costa Rica, if you think that was a smart appointment, then there might be something here. If you think that Piojo to Costa Rica was a massive L for the Costa Rican Federation, especially after Gustavo Alfaro, who has now turned Paraguay into a borderline top 10 national team in the world, then you're going to think that this is irrelevant. Mexico owns Costa Rica, and Mexico are going to win. Does Piojo go for it? Does he play for a draw? Does Aguirre say, if we get a draw here and 2 more wins, we're through to the knockouts anyways? Is it going to be a low-intensity game? I have no idea. I'm just really excited for this because Piojo Herrera will always have a special place in my heart for the 2014 World Cup. I'm always going to root for him loosely, right? I don't particularly think he's an amazing manager, but, thanks for the memories, and I'm looking forward to this match is basically what I'm saying. Next storyline here, what's going to be the priority? The Gold Cup or the Club World Cup? And I'm going to answer this for 2 different audiences. And number 1 is going to be the fans, and number 2 is going to be the teams and the players. I'll talk about the fans first, right? Obviously, anybody from South America, Asia, or Europe, you're going to focus on the Club World Cup because a couple of your teams are over there, and nobody cares about the CONCACAF Gold Cup. People in CONCACAF don't even care about the Gold Cup. So why is somebody in England going to be watching this tournament? They're not, right? So I think for those fan bases, clearly Club World Cup takes precedence. For people living in a CONCACAF region, what are you guys, genuinely I'm asking, what are you guys going to be paying attention to more? Because me personally, I'm an international footy first type of guy. My favorite club, Atletico Madrid, is competing in the Club World Cup, and I still barely care just because, again, international football, especially when Mexico is involved, that's always going to be the priority. So I'm going to still watch some of the games, but I'm going to really be a football merchant when it comes to the Club World Cup. And given that there's going to be several CONCACAF clubs and teams in Europe like Juventus that have American players competing in this tournament, I really don't know which one most people are going to watch. Now, for the teams and the players themselves, I pray to God that the Gold Cup is the priority because, the World Cup is just 12 months away at the start of this tournament, but, who cares about that thing? Who cares about practice? Who cares about getting prepared for that? There is still a chance, sadly, that Canada and the United States are not going to take this seriously. For Mexico, I guarantee the Gold Cup is taken very seriously. And I have to say, just very quickly, I take pride in that, right? I like seeing my national team go out there and actually try to win in every single competition that they participate in, right? This whole let's give the young guys a chance. Let's experiment. Bro, you know what's a great time to experiment? International friendlies, right? Why are you experimenting in an official competition, you bellend? Everybody who makes that argument, I'm like, bro, you just lost the plot. That is literally the point of an international friendly, all right? If you want to throw out the U20s, an international friendly against the Congo, go for it. But in an official semifinal match against Panama or Costa Rica, what are you doing, you idiot? Bro, this isn't the YMCA. This isn't you're playing for a trophy here, for the love of God. Players that are expected to miss this, Alphonso Davies, both for injury and because Bayern Munich are going to be competing. Eustachiao for FC Porto. Those are going to be the 2 main omissions for Canada. The United States, Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, like I mentioned earlier. Gio Reyna, that one's kind of a question mark because I don't know if he leaves Dortmund, if he'll be eligible, right? I guess we have to wait and see what happens on on his future. And then Mexico, we're not really missing too many guys, Arteaga and a couple other guys playing for Rayados. So I don't really expect the Club World Cup to hit Mexican sides or hit the Mexican national team that bad. But yeah, I'm curious to see from all facets, like, what do people care about? I'm talking like, what are the views like on the highlight videos on YouTube? Which one's winning in that regard? What is the attendance like at both tournaments? What are the streets saying? If I check Twitter, are the first 10 tweets about the Club World Cup? Are they about the Gold Cup? Are the players on the field actually running and sprinting and trying in the tournaments that they're participating in? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. And my last storyline for this video are, of course, the dark horse teams at the Gold Cup. Now, I will probably make an updated version of the dark horses at a later date, so hit subscribe for that. But for now, I have two nominees. My first one, I'm going with the Haiti national team. Haiti is such an interesting team in CONCACAF because they actually got some big name players who have played at big clubs in Europe. Now, Haiti, as of time of recording, are on an 8-game win streak, albeit against kind of second and third rate CONCACAF teams, but still they're scoring 2, 3, 4 goals in every single game. Like, the offense has always been pretty strong with this Haitian generation, which rhymes. I actually like that. And even when they've played better CONCACAF teams, like they had a doubleheader against Jamaica, they lost 5-4 on aggregate, and those games were extremely competitive. And they, again, you score 4 goals in 2 games against Jamaica, and that's nothing to scoff at. And I think if you look at their group with the United States, Trinidad and Tobago, and a kind of question mark Saudi Arabia, Haiti could definitely do something there, right? The question for this team has always been the defense, right? I remember the last Gold Cup, the offense, actually pretty good free-flowing football at times, but can they defend well? That's going to be the make or break for Haiti in the group stage, and you have to beat Trinidad and Tobago, of course. Now, Haiti have been grouped to 2 consecutive Gold Cups, and that's not good, obviously, but at the 2019 edition of the tournament, they actually made the semifinals, and they were pretty freaking good. And in the quarterfinals, they knocked out a pretty good Canada side, and then lost to Mexico in the semifinals in extra time off a Raul Jimenez penalty kick. And I remember that game. It was pretty tense. I was furious that we went to extra time, but I think the Haitians earned a lot of respect from the Mexican fan base on that day, right? Like, losing to Mexico in that manner is nothing to scoff at. I'm kind of looking at history, and I'm kind of like thinking big brain here. Is Haiti going to get grouped at 3 consecutive Gold Cups? I don't personally see that happening. I think they're too talented. I think they're due, right? I think they got a little hard done by Qatar beating Mexico in the final group stage game last time that knocked out Haiti, right? So I think because the group is doable, because of how good their form is coming in, and because they do have difference maker players, why couldn't they be a dark horse? And my second dark horse is Guadeloupe, who also have very few losses on the schedule walking in here. Beat Suriname recently 1-0, and they just got straight shooters on the team, man. Like, this is Guadeloupe's World Cup, right? Because they cannot participate at a World Cup. And I think at the last edition of the Gold Cup, again, very unlucky to not make it out of the group stage had they not lost to Guatemala on the final match day. So this is going to be interesting to watch. I think Haiti are like my number 1 dark horse, but Guadeloupe are 2. And the reason I'm not going Puerto Rico or I'm not going Suriname is because Puerto Rico and Suriname have Costa Rica and Mexico in the group, and I just kind of think that's a group of death for them. I do not rate Puerto Rico's chances really to get out of there. In Suriname, while I think they're good defensively, I just don't really back them to do anything against those 2 teams. If they were in a different group, if you swapped them in Haiti, maybe I would be saying Suriname right now, but I just haven't been that impressed by what I've seen from the Surinamese national team recently. So for me, it's not just what are the form of these teams coming in here, but also how difficult is their group. I think Haiti having a winnable game absolutely against Trinidad and Tobago, and then, you know, it's not really a 50-50 game like Saudi Arabia are the favorites, but it's not like Saudi Arabia couldn't drop points against Haiti in a match or couldn't be beaten. I mean, they've been beaten by Indonesia recently. Like, there's an opportunity here. And then for Guadeloupe, they're just in the group of life with Panama, Jamaica, and Guatemala, who Guatemala could definitely have been a dark horse team too, but I kind of want to see what happens in the next couple of games. They have some bad losses on the resume recently. I don't know. I just feel like Guadeloupe, they're just going to let it fly. They're going to be playing like the Houston Rockets under D'Antoni, just shooting threes from outside the box. And that is it, guys. Those are my storylines to watch for the 2025 Gold Cup, which is very, very close to happening. I mean, y'all, it is April 12th right now, and I think this tournament kicks off on the 10th of June. Like, that's insane. And I gotta say, based on how the groups went down, based on the pathways to the final for each team, which I think I'll do a video about that on the channel. Again, hit subscribe. I'm pretty excited, but I'm most excited because every team in CONCACAF really could use a trophy right now for various reasons, right? I don't think anybody can take the day off. And yes, Mexico included, despite being the title holders and despite winning the last Nations League. I still think Mexico needs a trophy, ideally beating Canada or the United States in the final. I think it would be huge. For Panama, it'd be huge. It'd be huge for everybody. This is big for every single team involved. And when the stakes are high, that's when I'm the most invested. So I'm really looking forward to this tournament. I'm going to be covering it, religiously the entire time, because the Club World Cup is cool to me, but that's not going to be the priority. So if you guys want to see stuff about the Gold Cup here on Deadball TV, make sure you subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Is there a storyline that I forgot? Comment down below. And if a lot of people upvote it, or if a lot of people say or talk about it, I might have to make a separate video. I might have to make a part 2. You just have to wait and see. Check us out on social media. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.